All right, so we've looked a little bit at tables so far, and now we're just going to continue on with that. So we've looked at tables in two different ways. We've looked at the rate of change, and then we've also looked at how to create or generate a table when we have an equation. So now we're going to kind of bring those two together. We're going to have a table, and we're going to see if we can create the equation given the table, and then use that type of information to solve real-world problems. So to start off, we're just going to review what we've already done. So if I have a table, and sometimes they're going to be written horizontally and sometimes vertically, so you'll notice that we're going to kind of switch it up. If I need to find the rate of change or the slope, I'm going in and finding my change of x over my change in y, and I want to make sure that it's consistent. So see how I'm adding 1 each time for x? That means that I can continue to follow this pattern. So it's clear that I'm adding 4 each time for y, and I can fill in that missing spot by just adding 4 and getting 18. And so you're going to do that for the next few. So you're going to do number 2, number 3, and number 4. Oh, no, sorry, number 2 and number 3. Number 4 is taking it one step further. For number 4 now, it's saying, let's find the equation of a linear function represented by the table below in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to write y equals mx plus b. And so I need 2 pieces of information. I need my rate of change, which is also my slope, and I also need to know what my y-intercept is, which is my b in the equation. And so last class and the class before, we talked about how we know where the y-intercept is. It's because it's where x equals 0, and then I have a y value. So looking at my table, sometimes this value is already going to be given to me. Notice right here, this is where x equals 0 and y equals -2. So I don't even have to do any math. I can look right here and know that this is going to be my y-intercept. So my y-intercept is going to be -2. Now I need to figure out my slope. And so I'm going to do the same thing. And remember, your slope is your change in y over your change in x. In physics and in math, because we use this change in so often, we oftentimes just use a triangle to represent that change in. So change in y over change in x, and you're welcome to do that as well. So notice my change in x. I'm adding 1, adding 1, adding 1, adding 1. So my change in x is 1, because I'm adding 1 each time. My change in y, I'm adding 9, adding 9. I want to make sure it stays the same all the way throughout. In this case, it does. My change in y is 9, which means my slope is 9. So my equation is going to be y equals 9x subtract 2. So again, I found my y-intercept by figuring out where my x value was 0, and then I did my change in y over change in x to figure out what my slope was. Let's try one more together. I'm going to look and find that y-intercept. Here it is. So I know my y-intercept is -9, and then I see that my x values are going up by 1. And my y values are going up by 3. And so my slope is going to be the change in y over change in x. So it's going to be 3 over 1, or just 3. So slope-intercept form, y equals 3x subtract 9. And I'm done. All right, you're going to go ahead and try 6 and 7. And then check your answers online. All right, for this next one, number 8, we're going to do the same thing, but what you'll notice is that I don't know my b yet, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of work to find it. So I'm going to start by finding my slope. So again, it's my change in y over change in x, rise over run. So my x's rather, are going up by 1 each time again. And now my y is going from -1 to -4, so it's going down 3 each time. And so my slope is -3. I currently have so if my x value of 1, if I want my x value to be 0 for my y-intercept, I need to subtract 1. So I'm moving in the opposite direction. Instead of subtracting 1 from 3, I'm going to add 3 because I'm moving up. -1 plus 3 is 2, which means that my y-intercept is 2. So I'm still just using my table and generating that value. I'm just moving in the opposite direction. So I'm using my slope to find that. So I have my slope and I have my y-intercept, and so I can go ahead and put that in for my slope-intercept form. Go ahead and try 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 using that same method. Oh, and 15. These next ones are going to ask you to compare what's going on, and you're just comparing two things. So you have an equation and you have a graph, and you're comparing what's going on. So you can keep cruising through those. And then we're going to talk about 18 through 23 together once everyone's done. But if you want to get started on those because you have extra time, you're more than welcome to think through those.